All right, good morning. How's everybody? All right. If you would, make your way to Daniel chapter 2. That's going to be our spot this morning. We talked a little bit about this, just kind of really quickly hit the high points of the narrative last week, but we're going to dive into it just a little bit this morning. See some stuff we can find. All right. I want to start by just reading those first 11 verses. The second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar had dreams. His spirit was troubled, and his sleep left him. Then the king commanded the magicians, the enchanters, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans to be summoned to tell the king his dreams. So they came in and they stood before the king. And the king said to them, I had a dream, and my spirit is troubled to know the dream. And the Chaldeans said to the king in Aramaic, O king, live forever. Tell your servants the dream, and we'll show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the word for me is firm. If you do not make known to me the dream and its interpretation, you shall be torn limb from limb, and your houses shall be laid in ruins. But if you show the dream and its interpretation, you shall receive from me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and its interpretation. They answered a second time. Let the king tell his servants the dream, and we'll show its interpretation. And the king answered and said, I know with certainty that you're trying to gain time, because you see that the word for me is firm. If you do not make the dream known to me, there is but one sentence for you. You have agreed to speak lying and corrupt words before me till the times change. Therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that you can show me its interpretation. The Chaldeans answered the king and said, There's not a man on earth who can meet the king's demand, for no great and powerful king has asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter or a Chaldean. The thing that the king asks is difficult. No one can show it to the king except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. All right, I just want to stop there. This is really good. I just love this. But we talked a little bit about Nebuchadnezzar last week, just really briefly. He has risen to power as the son of a king. But he was a great general before that. He was advancing. The Babylonians are incredibly powerful. He's pushed the Egyptians back. He's taken control of the area of Palestine, the area of Israel. He was sieging Babylon, or getting ready to siege Judah, when word came that his father had passed, and he was going to assume the throne. So he goes back to Babylon. He goes through the ceremony, whatever that is, right? And then he comes back and ends up taking Judah. The Babylonians. I wish I knew more detail. I think maybe I don't, but they are an incredibly brutal people. They just are. But they're in the ancient Near East. That's how you survive. You're just incredibly brutal people. It's Habakkuk. I'm almost positive it's Habakkuk that his prophecy opens with asking God to do something because of all the things that are going on in Judah, and God says, I'm about to send the Babylonians. And Habakkuk goes, you can't send these people. They're too much. He is an incredibly brutish person. He is an incredibly violent man. And I want you just to think for just a minute, and we don't need to dive off into this too deep, but think for just a minute about all the things that he has done and witnessed, right? As a general of this incredibly powerful and incredibly violent army, and now the king of this people. So whatever this dream is that bothers him, just got to be something, right? If he's gone through all of this other stuff and all the horrors that he has seen and seems to sleep just fine, it's this that bothers him. Okay? So he summons all the people and says, all right, tell me what it means. And they said, no problem whatsoever. You tell us the dream, we're happy to give you the interpretation. And he goes, okay. Doesn't work like that. And you're also an incredibly suspicious fellow by nature. Probably don't get to remain king for very long if you're not. But Says, I tell you what, the way we're going to do this is you're going to tell me what the dream is and what it means. If not, it's real simple. You're going to die a horrible death. All of you. And your houses are going to lay in ruins. I don't know if that means that your family's going to die too. I'd say there's a good possibility. However, if you get it right, all kinds of reward for you. It's like, I'm nothing if not fair, right? If you do it right, I'll give you a whole bunch. If you don't, well, door number 2 doesn't look so good. And so they said, okay, all right, we got you. Just tell us the dream and we'll tell you what it means. He goes, I know you're just stalling for time now. I'm not changing my mind because it looks to me like you're lying to me. Which he's, probably right. He is, he does, they go through this exercise, what is it, 3 times here? And their answer is this, and this is really cool, I think. There's not a man on earth who can meet the king's demand. True. Yes, we would agree with that. Would you? Not a man on earth that can meet the king's demands. Right. No great and powerful king has asked such a thing of any magician or enchanter of Chaldean. Probably true. The thing that the king asks is difficult. No one can show it to the king except the gods. We would modify that a little, but we're on board with them right here. Right? Not the gods, but Yahweh. It's the only one that can do this. Here's where we're going to part company with them. Now, anyway. Whose dwelling is not with flesh. All changes with Jesus, doesn't it? That God dwells with us. Not just in the person of Jesus, but now dwells with us by the Spirit that He's given us. It's our confession. Yes? No? That God dwelled with us and God dwells with us now? Okay, anyway. They're not moving, and neither is He. And he kind of ups the ante here. He's not bluffing. Because of this is verse 12. Because of this, the king was angry and very furious and commanded that all wise men of Babylon be destroyed. So the decree went out. Wise men were about to be killed, and they sought Daniel and his companions to kill them. Okay, so we remember Daniel, Mishael, Azariah, or Hananiah. I got all those names right, just in the wrong order, right? Are part of this group that have been taken from Judah. They've been educated in the ways of the Babylonians. They are among what are listed as the wise men of Babylon. So they're going to die too. They weren't in on the first conversation. That doesn't seem to matter. If your title on your business card is wise man in Babylon, you're in trouble, right? And so they come to get Daniel. Daniel replied with prudence and discretion to Arioch, captain of the king's guard, who had gone out to kill the wise men of Babylon. He declared to Arioch, the king's captain, "Why is the decree of the king so urgent?" Then Arioch made the matter known to Daniel. Daniel went in and requested the king to appoint him a time that he might show the interpretation to the king. Okay. Then Daniel went to his house, made the matter known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, told them to seek mercy from the God of heaven concerning this mystery, so that Daniel and his companions might not be destroyed with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. All right, let's stop there. Anything strike you about the timing of this? The decree goes out. Daniel and his friends are going to be rounded up with the rest of the wise men and killed. And Daniel says, I want an appointment with the king to tell him what the dream means. And then he goes and asks God for the interpretation. Does that seem odd to anybody but me? That he gets an appointment with the king before he knows the answer. You know, I've read that I don't know how many times, and I guess I've read right past that. That we see this idea of Daniel's faith here and of Daniel's confidence of going, I know who can do this. I know who can give him the interpretation. So give me an appointment. And then he goes and asks God for it. I don't know. That seems really gutsy to me. Does it, anybody else? I mean, I don't know that I'd do that. I gotta tell you, I'd want it written down, right in front of me before I made any appointment with this guy, because he is not messing around. Then the mystery was revealed to Daniel in a vision of the night. Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belongs wisdom and might. Changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to those who have understanding. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells with him. To you, O God of my fathers, I give thanks and praise, for you have given me wisdom and might, and have now made known to me what we ask of you. For you have made known to us the king's matter. Daniel went into Arioch, whom the king had appointed to destroy the wise men of Babylon, and he went and said thus to him, do not destroy the wise men of Babylon. Bring me in before the king, and I will show the king the interpretation. Arioch brought Daniel before the king in haste, and said thus to him, I have found among the exiles from Judah a man who will make known to the king the interpretation. The king declared to Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, are you able to make known to me the dream that I have seen and its interpretation? Daniel answered the king and said, no wise men, enchanters, magicians, or astrologers can show the king the mystery that the king has asked. But there's a God in heaven who reveals mysteries, and he has made known to King Nebuchadnezzar what will be in the latter days. Your dream and the visions of your head as you lay in bed are these. To you, O king, as you lay in bed, came thoughts of what would be after this, and he who reveals mysteries made known to you what is to be. But as for me, this mystery has been revealed to me, not because of any wisdom that I have more than all the living, but in order that the interpretation may be made known to the king, that you may know the thoughts of your mind. Okay, I want to stop there just to look at this for just a second. When Daniel goes to the king, I want you to notice how similar his answer is to Nebuchadnezzar as the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Right? He's right with them. No wise men, enchanters, magicians, or astrologers can show the king the mystery that the king has asked. That's exactly what they said. Right? Said, can't be done. And Daniel said, they're right. They can't do it. But there is someone who can. And he's made this known to me so that I can tell you, because he's telling you what's getting ready to happen in the future, and you need to know. Right? I know this not because I'm better than any of the rest of them. Which, come on, I got to tell you, that would be hard. Would that be hard for anybody else but me? Right? Think about how Daniel's referred to. I found one of these exiles from Judah, right? One of these guys that we picked up along the way. He thinks he can do it. But you have these people and he talks about the wise men, the astrologers, the Chaldeans. Those seem to be people who are from Babylon and have probably been in this position for a while. And Daniel's kind of late to the game. And Daniel goes, I know this. It's because I'm better than they are. But he doesn't do that. Right? That would be hard, really, wouldn't it? Come on. Wouldn't it be hard for anybody else but me? Huh? I'm going, I know this. Yeah. These other goobers don't know anything, but watch. I'll show you what's going on. He goes, not because I'm better than anybody else, but it's because of the God of heaven that gives it to me. That's important. Right? I think we all know this. It's worth thinking about for just a second. That we understand this. That we're here this morning, gathered here in this nice place, talking about this stuff. Going to worship here in a little while. Some of you already were here at the early service. And we don't get to do this because we're better than everybody else. We don't get to do this because we're smarter. We do this. The only reason that we get to do what it is that we get to do is because of God. Period. And that's what Daniel says. The only way that I can do this is because of God. All right. So let's have some fun. Here's the dream. Verse 31. You saw, O king, behold, a great image. This image of mighty and of exceeding brightness stood before you, and its appearance was frightening. The head of this image was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its middle and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. And as you looked, a stone was cut out by no human hand. It struck the image on its feet of iron and clay and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold all together were broken in pieces and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away so that not a trace of them could be found. But the stone that struck the image became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. This was the dream. Now we will tell the king its interpretation. You, O king, the King of kings, to whom the God of heaven has given the kingdom, the power, and the might, and the glory, and into whose hand he has given, wherever they dwell, the children of man, the beasts of the field, the birds of the heaven, making you rule over them all. You are the head of gold. Another kingdom inferior to you shall arise after you, and yet a third kingdom of bronze which shall rule over all the earth. And there shall be a fourth kingdom, strong as iron, because iron breaks to pieces and shatters all things. And like iron that crushes, it shall break and crush all these. And as you saw, the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron, it shall be a divided kingdom. But some of the firmness of iron shall be mixed in it, just as you saw iron mixed with the soft clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly brittle. And as you saw the iron mixed with soft clay, so they will mix with one another in marriage, but they will not hold together, just as iron does not mix with clay. And in the days of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that shall never be destroyed, nor shall the kingdom be left to another people. It shall break in pieces all these kingdoms and bring them to an end. It shall stand forever. Just as you saw that a stone was cut from a mountain by no human hand, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, a great God has made known to the king what shall be after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation is sure. Okay. All right. So there's the dream. The dream is this big image. Seems to be a statue of some kind. It seems to be a statue of a person, as he describes it. It's a head of gold, a chest of silver, thighs and middle of bronze, legs and feet of iron and clay. Iron and then iron mixed with clay. Now, it's not. This is the way most interpret this dream, right? Is that these are 4 kingdoms, right? So he says, "You, Nebuchadnezzar, are the head of gold." One of the things, and we'll see this along the way in several spots, and we'll see it again in just a few weeks, is that Daniel makes sure, right? Daniel makes sure to tell Nebuchadnezzar, and we get to read this, and it's something that we need to hang on to, is that God is responsible for the rise and fall of kingdoms. The people who are in power are in power. And God is responsible for that. Okay? Now, sometimes we like that. Right? right? Sometimes we go, you betcha. And we've talked about this before. We'll see it again incredibly soon, annoyingly soon, is that whoever is vying for power will claim that God is the one who is on their side, going to put them in, right? I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're independent. I don't care what. Whoever is running at the head of that is going to try to co-opt God, right? And go, see, he's with us. Truth of the matter is, God is responsible for the rise and fall of kingdoms. And that's, Daniel's going to hit this over and over and over and over again. The people of Judah had a hard time with this, I would imagine, because the Babylonians aren't nice people. But God is in charge of this. And there's something that's going to happen because of it. We don't know exactly what that is. He doesn't always tell us. But just to kind of keep that and hang on to it. The other thing is these are 4 kingdoms. You, Nebuchadnezzar, you are the head of gold. The God of heaven has granted you all the people that you've come across, all the beasts of the field. He has made you rule. You are the guy. He's very, very good with this, by the way. There will come another kingdom after you that's inferior. I like the way he does that, right? But it fits with the image that Nebuchadnezzar sees. Silver is a little inferior to gold. And so the 4 kingdoms are Babylonians, followed, soon to be followed by the Medes and Persians. The Medo-Persian Empire is next, followed by the Greeks, and followed by the Romans. It's really interesting. It's some real good stuff to read if you find spots to fill in the blanks, because okay, we got just a minute. This is a little aside. When we get to the end of what we think of as the Old Testament, right? We get to the end of the Hebrew Bible, and who is in charge during that time is the Medes and the Persians. By the time we get to the end of the Old Testament, Babylon's gone. The Medes and Persians have come in. Cyrus has let the Jews go back home. The temple has been rebuilt. This kind of stuff. We turn the page. We literally turn the page in our Bible, and it's the Romans. And there's a lot that happens between the Medes and Persians and the Romans. And the big thing that happens is the Greeks, because Alexander the Great that conquers the world at that point. And a lot of things go on in with the Jewish people, which make a huge impact on how we read the New Testament. So maybe one of these days we'll take a little bit of time and look at that, at what goes on, and the persecution that the Jewish people undergo during the reign of the Greeks. It's awful. I mean, it really is. There's some really bad stuff, which kind of lets you know how we get to the people we get to in the New Testament when it comes to people like the Pharisees, the Sadducees. The people who are not mentioned are the Essenes, but the Zealots, those folks, and how they came to be. That all happens in between, right? In between where we turn the page. Right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff. But, right? Here we go. During the time of this 4th one, we see this, as Nebuchadnezzar sees this stone cut out of a mountain, not by human hands. And this stone destroys all the others. Grinds them up, they blow away, he says, like chaff from the summer threshing floor. They can't even find them anymore. And this kingdom that he's talking about is this kingdom of which we are a part now. It's during the time of this divided kingdom, this partly powerful, partly brittle Roman Empire, that we have Jesus come on the scene. And this kingdom, right? This kingdom is going to destroy the rest of them. How do you feel about that? Okay, 2 things really quick. I can't remember where this is. I just know it's there. It's in Hebrews. I don't remember exactly where it's at. I can't remember if it's, I'm not going to even try. I'm not going to try to tell you what chapter it is. It's toward the last half, if I remember right. That the Hebrews writer says something into the effect of, thanks be to God that we have inherited a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Over the centuries, starting with the first century, this kingdom movement, the other kingdoms of the world have tried to stop. Anybody seen that? We can read through Acts and look, see where they tried to stop it. I mean, right off the bat, chapters 3 and 4 of Acts. Peter and John heal the lame man, and the Sanhedrin say, we're going to put a stop to this. Right? We got to stomp this thing out. Actually, they tried before that when they killed Jesus, but God raised him from the dead. And so that ought to give us some kind of hint of what kind of kingdom we've got. That they try there, they try again. There's others that try along the way, and all the way through Christian history, you're going to find times when those are trying to stomp out this new kingdom. And for whatever reason, and I think we all know what that reason is, it just never works. There's reason, I'm not saying there's not, there's reason for us to be concerned about the state of things around us. There's reason for us, it seems to have turned some, and I'm liking that a lot. There for a while, the major topic at any place that you went to that talked about church growth or talked about church leadership or talked about church period was the worry and the wringing of hands of where are these people between 18 and 30? Right? Books are authored. There's another one, there's one, it's actually quite a good one, called The Rise of the Nuns, of the people who claim no religious affiliation, and most of them we're in that age group. We go, what's going to happen? Right? What's going to happen? Is the church just going to wither up and die? If we don't remember anything else, remember this. Thanks be to God that we have inherited a kingdom that cannot be shaken. That's not going to happen. Okay? Deb. All right, Hebrews 12:28. Thank you. Right? The kingdom is not in trouble. I believe one of the early church fathers that talked about this when martyrdom was the thing, right? There was a lot of martyrs. Was his saying? I think it was Tertullian. I may be wrong. Said that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. That the more you try, the more that it grows. I think there's something there, right? That this kingdom that we are a part of is an unstoppable force. Okay? So, can we act like it? Right? Right? Really? Can we be confident in this, knowing that whatever the opposition that comes, we don't care? Right? Because we don't lose in this. All right? This kingdom is going to turn everything else upside down because this kingdom is different than every other kingdom. That's it. Right? If our kingdom, right, if the church is like every other kingdom of the world, then it's not going to do well. It's just not. But we're not that kind of kingdom. We don't win the day by violence or threats or power. We win the day the way Jesus wins the day. By laying down our lives on behalf of other people. That's how we win. Right? This is really neat. We're not going to jump into it because we're going to run out of time if I don't. All right, so But just remind me of this. You can remind me of this or not, whatever you want to do, right? This is illustrated very, very well in the book of Revelation. In the book of Revelation, there's this big scene and there's this big build up to this huge battle, right? Armageddon. We've probably heard of that. It's going to be this big battle of good and evil, the final battle of good and evil in the valley of Megiddo. And all of this buildup and all of the forces that are amassed, and on one side you have those who worship the beast, and you have all of this, you have the dragon and all that stuff that goes along in Revelation. And over here you have Jesus, the conqueror on the white horse, right? And it says, and the battle is over like this. And they won. And they emerged victorious because of the blood of the Lamb. That's how we win. Right? Not by force. So, that's one. This kingdom that we're going to be talking about a lot. Now, here's the other one. Here's the other one. I'm impressed. I tell you what, let's finish this out real quick. And then I'll tell you something. All right. Verse 46. King Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face, paid homage to Daniel, and commanded that an offering and incense be offered up to him. King answered and said to Daniel, truly your God is God of gods, Lord of kings, and revealer of mysteries, for you have been able to reveal this mystery. The king gave Daniel high honors, many gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon and chief prefect over all the wise men of Babylon. Daniel made a request of the king, and he appointed Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel remained at the king's court. I'm impressed by Nebuchadnezzar. He's not much of a role model in a lot of ways, but in this one, I think he is. What's the one thing that Nebuchadnezzar wanted from the start of this, from the start to end of chapter 2? What's the one thing he wanted? Somebody to tell him his dream and tell him what about it? The truth. That's what he wants. I want the truth. Right? That's what I want. Just tell me the truth. When it looks like those that he is called on to give him an answer are not going to do that, right? All the wise men, all the astrologers, all the Chaldeans, right? All those folks. When it looks like, he says, I know you're just trying to buy time, and I know you're going to lie to me. And I'm not going to put up with that. Just tell me the truth. I'm certain, I may not, there's a lot of things I'm not certain of, but I'm relatively certain, knowing the limited amount that I know about Nebuchadnezzar, that when Daniel said, another kingdom is going to arise, right? An inferior kingdom, but another kingdom is going to arise that's going to rule the world. He's not dumb enough to think, right, that I'm not going to hold on to power forever. Somebody's going to conquer us. I doubt seriously that that's what he wanted to hear. Right? But I'm just guessing. If Nebuchadnezzar had his way, the dream would mean something else. Right? I don't know, that the head of gold would swell up and just smash the rest of them. I don't know what he thought it would do, right? But that he was going to be, that the Babylonians would be in power, and probably his line would have a dynasty from here as far as he could possibly see, till the end of time. But that's not the fact. The truth is that it's going to come to an end. And the truth is that you're not as powerful as you think you are. And Daniel does this very subtly. This God of heaven, the God of our fathers, right? I want you to look just real quick, just at Daniel's prayer real quick. It's in verses 20 through 23. Blessed be the name of God forever and ever, to whom belongs wisdom and might. He changes times and seasons. He removes kings and sets up kings. He gives wisdom to the wise, knowledge to those who have understanding, reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what's in the darkness, and light dwells with him. And he says as much when he talks to Nebuchadnezzar. You're a great king, but you're not as great as you think you are. right? The only reason you're here is because God has put you here. And if God has put you here, God will take it. Okay? But Nebuchadnezzar seems to be good. At the end of this, right, he promotes Daniel, gives him all kinds of gifts, even so much that Daniel goes, hey, I've got these 3 friends. They'd be really good to oversee all the affairs of Babylon. And he goes, sounds good to me, right? He seems to be okay with this. Because what he wants is the truth. For Nebuchadnezzar, I would imagine that truth that shows up with this dream is from an incredibly unlikely place. You with me? He goes, all right, just really quick. Well, I don't want to get too far off into this because we're about to run out of time and I don't want to jump off into something I can't swim out of. All right. Magicians, enchanters, sorcerers, and Chaldeans. I don't know this for sure, okay? Let's just throw that out there up front. Chaldeans, I believe to be, because they're referred to this way in several other places, seem to be natives to Babylon. So probably people who have been there for a long time, right, know the drill. Now, as Babylon goes through and they conquer other people, they bring other people along just like Daniel, so you probably have wise men and enchanters and sorcerers from other places too. But these are the people that I don't know. These would be people that Nebuchadnezzar would be familiar with. Let's say, right? They share a lot in common. They share the same worldview of this idea of the gods, plural, right? This whole worldview they kind of share, right? They may have different ones set up in their various temples, but they share the same kind of basic idea of how this all works. And yet, the person who gives him the truth is somebody that's not like him at all. Okay? Daniel, well, we found this captive from Judah. Maybe he knows something. Says he does. Nebuchadnezzar wants the truth, and Nebuchadnezzar is smart enough to recognize it when it shows up. No matter the source of it. I'm going to jump out of Daniel for just 1 second. Go with me to John 1 really quick. I don't want to get this verse wrong, but I'm quite certain it's verse 18, but I may be wrong. Oh, we just got 5 minutes. Okay, we're going to have to hurry. No, I'm sorry, 14. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. We have seen his glory. Glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Truth is something that's the property of God. Is that fair to say? Right? We see this. This one came to mind. There's other spots we could look at, but this one came to mind of when we think of Jesus as, the Word was with God, the Word was God, full of grace and truth. All, truth is God's domain. Let's put it that way. So, truth originates from God. So, all truth is his truth. And so, I guess, are we good to recognize truth even if it comes from a source that we don't necessarily agree with? That we might not normally agree with? How about that? I'm going to say something here, and you may want to throw stuff at me, and that's okay. I'm going to say this. I'm just trying to, I didn't have this in my notes, so I'm just trying to think about how to say it where you won't hate me as much. You probably hate me a little, but not as much. Sometimes. Okay, let's do it this way. Sometimes I think we get overly concerned. Okay, stay with me. That we get overly concerned about various publications or books or commentaries or things like that we read. Okay, I'm trying to say this and say it nicely, and I don't know if I can. So I'm just going to throw it out there, and we're going to see what happens. Sometimes we look. I have a set of commentaries. It's not a deep set, right? It's not like an incredibly high scholarly set. It's very, 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 very easy, very accessible, which is probably why I have it. It's very, very good. But it's called the For Everyone series. Anybody ever heard of the For Everyone series? It's through the New Testament. Okay. Written by N.T. Wright. N.T. Wright's an Anglican. There's some really good stuff in N.T. Wright. There's some really good things. And sometimes if we think, well, hold on, we don't want to listen to that person because he's not one of us, and we've done that, okay, well, we're better, but I've heard this from, anyway, right? We're going, well, are these people from the churches of Christ that are writing this material? We'd stop that, okay? Because truth originates from God, not from us. And we ought to be grown folks enough to be able to recognize truth when we see it, right? And I think we've said this before, right? Eat the meat, spit out the bones. Now, we're about out of time. I don't want to jump any further in that. Okay, so we got that, right? So, things to admire. Things to admire in chapter 2. Let's just sum this up real quick. Daniel's faith. Whew, man, that's something to go. I want an appointment with the king. I don't know what I'm going to say, but I want an appointment. Who knows if Uriah had said, well, 2 this afternoon, okay, But before that, and then goes. Also, notice the community that's there: Daniel, Hananiah, Azariah, Mishael. That he calls on those in his own community to go help me. There's nothing wrong with that. His confidence before the king, but Nebuchadnezzar is saying, what I want is the truth. Even if it's not exactly what I wanted to hear, what I want to know is the truth. So then, if I know the truth, then I can respond to it in the right way. There it goes. Look at there. All right, let's pray real quick. Father, we thank you so much for today. We thank you for all you do for us. We're thankful that you are the one that's the source of all wisdom, the source of all truth, the one who has formed this kingdom that cannot be shaken. Help us to live into that confidence and help us to conquer those around us, not with violence, not with threats, but with the love that you've demonstrated toward us in Jesus Christ, our Savior. We love you so much.